So we're broadcasting now, and welcome to the How to Hit the Ground Running at the Edinburgh Fringe, wherever you are in the world. And this isn't a formal broadcast, we're just letting you witness some of the chat that's going to be happening here in Brighton, so stay tuned. You've seen one of these?
Yes.
This is the great beast, bigger than ever. Are you pleased with your entry?
Yeah, I think so. I'm on page 100, which I thought was quite easy.
Are you in comedy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was one of those ones where I was wondering where to put it in, because it doesn't kind of spans genres. Yeah, there.
Oh yeah, that's good. I love the image on your website. You look scary and charismatic, and it's whenever you go to whatever your website is, it's got a picture of you looking very beardy and.
Oh, is that the one where I'm really troll-like? Yeah, my son did that one.
It's a really good image.
Making me look like something like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's your. I think you should use that up in Edinburgh.
Do you think?
Yeah, because it makes you stand out.
Because my son did that drawing as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good drawing, but I don't think it captures what happens in your show as much as some of those other images might hint. Although you're not, that's not your character, but it's kind of, you have to shout to be heard in Edinburgh.
Yeah. So anything a bit more like that.
How are you?
All right, yeah, fine, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, good. This is George.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, we met. He doesn't know that, of course.
What's your name?
Lyndon. No, we haven't met. I saw your show, yeah.
All right.
Which was very, very good, actually. Yeah. Well, actually, I saw you before at Joe Neary's thing. So I had seen you before, but
I'm just going to give you a quick.
But yeah, I really like what you
We've
did.
got some people arriving here, some fringes, and we've got a few more coming. Bear in mind also you can tweet at Fringe Reviews and take some comments on the chat.
I was involved in the Pirate Kaylee in the Fringe, the Dead Man's Jig thing.
Oh, we saw that at the station.
Did you? Cool.
You did it at the station, didn't you?
I didn't actually do it myself, but yeah. And was involved with Brighton Science Festival and other things. And the upshot is some people asked me to do a little talk to them later on about how I went about marketing it. So I was just interested in this discussion in general, but that's the upshot of it. But it's not something I do professionally.
You can tune in anyway. Well, I think we'll just start, and whoever wants to join us can. What I wanted to do with this slot was just, I've got some stars here, and on here are just some stars, are some reflections from about the last 15 years that I've collected from my review team, from theatre makers, and I put in a book called How to Hit the, well, not it's called The Filthy Guide to the Edinburgh Fringe, but I did some reflecting this year for that book. One of the things I just did it's slightly unscientific, but I counted about 100 shows of comedians, theatre people, most of whom I know in my loved home city of Brighton, and followed their fortunes over going to Edinburgh and then coming back. And the majority didn't succeed in Edinburgh, which bothers me. Didn't succeed in terms of whatever they defined as success. A lot did, but quite a few went up and didn't. And so I'm quite interested in that, but also very keen that the people sitting here, anyone listening in, does succeed. So I love this city and I want everyone to do well. So all I thought I'd do is I've got these cards here, and I just thought I'm going to hand some out, and then you can just choose them and we'll just talk about them. And this isn't a one-way conversation either, so please do put your thoughts in. But my belief is if you follow some of the tips that I've gleaned, some of mine, some are from other people, you're more likely to succeed. And this isn't all stuff you've heard before, so you're not going to go, hopefully, I just went to another show where it's like one of those bloody workshops on how to market. It's not that. So I don't know, do you want to just take a few and pass them around, and we'll just go with those? Yeah. And then we just choose the ones that you like the look of, really. And Peter's just arrived. Peter Williams is Fringe Reviews photographer, and he's going to be up there in the first week. And he is a very generous man, and he will do you a photo shoot when you're up there in one of your shows or before for free. So just or whatever you want to organise. Hi Peter, come and join us. Come sit on the sofa. So just picking out ones that you like the look of.
There might be more, but I've fashioned myself.
That's all right. Yeah, that's fine. I think this is recording as well, so if you miss any of this shit, it's going to be on YouTube like all the other shit in the world.
Just what Ali will be there.
Hopefully, no one's saying they can't hear me on the broadcast, so that's good. So I can kind of just... Okay, so you've picked a few, and then I'll give the rest to Peter. And then please do just kick any questions out, and we'll see if we can answer them. And if not, I'll have a go at throwing them in as well. So, George, do you want to kick off with one?
You've got January on here.
Okay, so this is the first one. So this is January. So we got our first press releases actually this year in November last year. And one of the things I noticed about that was that sometimes they badly show you who they've copied in, and sometimes you get a copied in on everybody's personal email from the press. Including the Daily Mail and Lynn Gardner and all these people. So there's a lot of hope. But the people who were sending us stuff in January and earlier are good companies. And it does suggest, if they know what they're doing, that I don't want to depress people here, but your journey should have started then. And if you were sending them out in, say, even May or June or July, you've got some catch up to do now. So just be aware that your show could the entire radar of almost the entire press that you'd like to get on, and so you have to. It's a healthy thing to imagine it hasn't happened. Now is a really good thing. Imagine whatever press you've sent out that hasn't happened. It's now the first week of July, and you've got till August to actually get on the radar. So if you did, my feeling, and I pick this up, is if you sent when everyone tells you to, then the problem is everyone sends them out. So if it was kind of the sensible time of March, April, May, June, whenever that was, they just got inundated with them and it just went off the radar. So when did you last send a press release to the press you'd like to come along, George?
3-4 weeks ago.
Okay, so I'm saying forget that and imagine you've just started now and they just might run into some schedules, but it won't harm doing another one now. How about you, Rosie?
About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. So I'm saying, if you haven't, did you send one in January?
No, I didn't at all. I
You hadn't decided to do a show, or you?
I was still undecided whether I was going to actually do it, and I just basically went on the guidelines of on the Ed Fringe website, sort of saying do it. It was about 4 weeks ago, and then again now, and then just before. But but like you say, that's going to be lumped in with everyone else who's following it as well.
Yeah. And the other thing was was a tip. I mean, poor Lynn Gardner from The Guardian probably gets inundated, but maybe she's not poor Lynn Gardner, maybe she wants to. But definitely some of those critics say, look, don't even bother with just press releases. Tweet me occasionally as well. That's not an advert for her. She may not want that, but find out their Twitter handles too, if you can. And most of them are now online, and you can just find out from the newspaper who's reviewing. But also try and put a tweet through, because they claim they also add to their schedules even when they're fixed from a good tweet, maybe with an image attached to it or something.
And do you know how flexible once the festival starts? I mean, if something gets a bit of interest through word of mouth, do the press adjust their schedules to go and see something if they suddenly hear, that sounds like it's been...
I'd say some of the institutional reviewers don't, and we hear, some of the big papers are tightly budgeted, and there isn't any give at all. Though we've heard, that occasionally it might be, but can just quote, say, Lynn Gardner, she claims she'll, be flyered and then go and see a show. Fringe Review have got reviewers looking for shows that we've missed. So I'd say there is flexibility. There's certainly... Broadway Baby has a big schedule, but Pete Shaw says, still write to us, but they are pretty scheduled up, some of those things. So it is better. I'd say if there's any give, it's now, not when you get up there. But there is, I forgot to say also, it's not in your diary, there is an event called, do you know about Meet the Media? Okay, so this is one, it's absolutely a horrendous meat market. But it is your chance, if you're prepared to queue, to get in front of the Scotsman, the BBC, and basically what it is, it's a row of tables, and all the main media show up, and you queue, and you get 2 or 3 minutes to pitch your show. As they, So I'm just trying to see if I can find it in the events thing. It's normally the first weekend. I don't know if anyone listening in can type in. I'll look it up. What it is. Let me just see. Meet.
You thought you were going to say meat market.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a meat market. It's fine. I can't find it in the. What I'll do is I'll put that out to you guys. I don't. It doesn't seem to be in there, but Meet the Media, because it's not a public event. But I'll let you guys know when this is. It's normally the first Saturday of the Fringe after it started, and it normally runs in the afternoon, and people literally queue 3 or 4 hours before. But that is the one where, you know, if you do your day, you might well get 5 reviewers that you didn't have in advance. I'd say in the cases of both shows here, we've got a comedy show called George Egg Anarchist Cook, and yours is All the Nice Girls. They're both very different. So you've got a 2-minute pitch to say that it's going to stand out from, you know, the rest of the shows. Yeah. So anyway, check out Meet the Media. So, but January is just, don't feel your job's done. Feel like your job's just starting, and you've just decided to do a show now, and you're now going to do a press strategy. Yeah.
I mean, is there also surely a danger though of being a pest?
So it's not about quantity. It's not about overkill. It's about saying I still need to send a press release out, and that's fine to do that now. So it's not about every day tweeting them, but just imagine your default is that no one's clocked your show yet. Don't assume they have. So what do you need to do about that? So yeah, find that line. Yeah. You could probably pester them out of not coming if you overdo it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other ones on that one? Have we answered January?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose the lesson is that if you're thinking of coming back next year, and I say like for the Brighton Fringe press releases could be going out in about October, but we don't start getting until January, and it's kind of actually the ones that come in October are quite impressive. That people are so on the ball. No, that's January there. Okay. Do you want to go for one, Rosie?
Yeah.
Star Reality. This one's Star Reality. It's probably, I've got a whole chapter in the book about it. So think about my 100 shows. I care about everybody here. You're like my community, and I'm up there and doing reviewing, which is a difficult thing to do. The majority of those shows that say got 5 stars in Brighton got 3 or 4 in Edinburgh. The majority of those shows, and they're not the majority, but some of those shows that got 4 or 5 got 2 in Edinburgh. Now, I know some people it's not about stars, but if you're worried about playing a month, there is a danger that you played to your home crowd, or you packed out a venue in Brighton and a very friendly crowd. It's a very largely friendly crowd in Brighton. There's only a couple of nights we tend to play, so people are really glad they've chosen to be there. Is that whatever bar you've set, I think you just need to go up a bit, and sometimes a lot. And it's that just sometimes, I mean, you're playing to Gilded Balloon. It's sort of a bit, even that's a bit relentless. They've got show in, coming after show. There's a sort of energy from techies. You know, it's not that their job's worth, they're working really hard, but there's another show to get in. And there's audiences coming in. Some of them might have seen 6 shows, so their attention isn't quite there. The venues are boiling hot and they haven't quite recovered from, it's that feel. So whatever you achieved here in slightly better, easier circumstances, you've got to imagine it's just tougher and harder. It's almost like a sports team that's done well here and then they go and play in tropical heat. So the question I ask, and it's not about getting back in the rehearsal room, although you might still be rehearsing, but where are the give points in your show that could accidentally give when a review is in? Is it the pace of it? Is it the clarity of it in a venue that's a bit noisy? Is it the material? Actually in Brighton it's a bit lame, and we probably need to sharpen it up a bit in Edinburgh, get a bit more it's whatever it is for your show. I've just seen, unfortunately, too many shows that have gone up there having won awards here and actually dropped right down. And so for me, about hitting the ground running is having those thoughts now and having that conversation. It's not about changing. I'm not telling you how to do your show, but just imagining it might be a bit tougher. The bar might be a bit higher. It is in London as well, I'd say, for comedy.
We had quite a good run. We sold out the time, got reasonable splits as well. But when on our last show, we had my voice coaching, who loved us, but she actually came up with some really good critiques, and we've gone back to the rehearsal based on what she said.
Right.
Which is, so she's helped us hone that. So I hear what you're saying. We haven't got there yet, but
If I had one word, it was that the staff and the audience are just that tiny bit more impatient because they're just seeing lots of stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, what might that mean for your show, say, George? Does that mean anything?
I mean, my show's still too long. I know that it's coming in at sort of an hour and 10 minutes. And it's got to be an hour, absolute max.
Yeah.
And so I've already gone through and just anything that I think is a bit fluffy or a bit, like you say, it might get a bit boring. I've just done that just to try and tighten it down. I think it would be better if it worked to 55 minutes.
Yeah.
It's much, that people aren't going to be looking at their watch and getting bored.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I suppose just making sure I know it absolutely.
Yeah. But is there anything in your first 5 minutes that might suffer from noisy clumping feet of people coming in late?
Well, it's an open slideshow to music.
Right. So
I guess I don't really know how I could change it.
only maybe whack the music up even louder than you might normally do, just to muffle out any invasive sounds. So just get it a bit louder. Yeah. Okay, so that was that's that one. Just be aware that you probably have to do a bit more to get whatever ratings you got in the friend. I call them the friendly fringes.
But no, absolutely. I mean, it is. I think I was spoiled in Brighton because it sold very well, and then since then I did Newcastle Comedy Festival. Yeah. In a 300-seater venue, and I got 9 people. So it's a real reality check.
Well, it's also for comedians. I mean, it's been Northern Reality Check where they've done comedy either in London or Brighton, and played one of the Northern clubs and got destroyed. Yeah. So
there are 9 lovely people, but just only 9 of them.
Yeah. The way I once heard somebody say it, it's just like with comedians. Just assume they're that little bit less engaged. So you've got to do that little bit more to engage them, particularly if it's comedy. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to pull one up?
Might as well float it.
Oh, this was just. I mean, this happened only to Brighton. Well, not only to Brighton people, but several Brighton people. Which was, if you've never been before, you've got to imagine you're on the Royal Mile for a few hours. You might be paying flyers as well. And you've done how many flyers?
I haven't actually got them printed yet, but I was going to get 5,000.
Okay.
yeah, about.
Which might be gone in the first week.
Really?
And then it's much harder to get them up there. So there's just so many opportunities to give them out. So many opportunities. 5,000 is probably for Brighton. So I just saw lots of people ran out of flyers really quickly, just as they got their first 5-star review, and they were kind of, oh shit, I'm trying to get some more done, or I'm photocopying some. So my feeling would be, I mean, a lot of people say get 5,000 done, but actually I think it probably needs to be closer to 10,000 if you're playing a whole month, and you're going to do a lot of flyering. If your shows are already selling and you've got no problem, then I wouldn't worry about it. But if it's about constantly getting out on the streets and giving flyers out and laying flyers down and giving them to press officers, 5,000 will go really quickly. Simply like this. Are we bored yet?
No,
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I've got the law of 3. What is that?
I can't even remember that. Oh, no. That was actually, just having said don't overdo the press releases. It was still the principle that people don't hear you the first time ever. So you always have to say things 3 times. You have to say things 3 times to press offices. If you go into a press office and say, yeah, will you be able to send that there? They won't do it. I know, and that's not an insult, but they're just going to meltdown. So you probably have to go in 3 times in that and find whatever way doesn't piss them off to do it. And the law of 3 is between now and the Fringe, you can definitely send to the same press people 3 times, but do it 3 different ways. Don't just fire off the same thing. So what could be 3 different stories? That doesn't just be a press release. Stories about your show. You might have had some good feedback on tour. You might have changed your show a bit. You might have got to end up, there's a new Scottish element, and I'm going to show you how to make haggis. And so that becomes a story. And I put 3 out. What Peter gets involved in is the Clash diary and stuff. So Peter, do you want to just say what that is?
Yeah, there's so many events up there. All us photographers get notified about big photo shoots that companies have organised, or PR companies up there, and that comes out daily. So essentially, that You can notify in to go on the Clash Diary.
And it's a Clash Diary because obviously you don't want, it coordinates so people don't overlap. But you,
Sorry, can you explain what actually is?
Essentially, all media people get email every day of the Clash Diary.
which is the photo shoots that you've organised. So, if there's an opportunity, because your show's quite visual, there's a place in Edinburgh that's to do with it's got some historical connotation. Is there an old music hall you could say, well, we're going to be outside the music hall where the first, like that, or, similar, I'm going to be outside the culinary, whatever, or the travel lodge, and I'm going to do something. And then that's when you might get the Scotsman photographer going, oh, that's brilliant, because I'm going to be nearby at 10 o'clock. They'll come along, take some pictures, that gets tweeted out, and you get some publicity for your show.
So you would send your sort of release about this photo opportunity to where?
So to all the reviewers and all of that, yeah, but also to the Fringe, so that they can get it in the Clash Diary. And look on edfringe.com, because they'll tell you how to do it. They've got their own way of doing that. So don't piss them off, do it according to them, but have a look in their media stuff.
Brighton Fringe do it.
They
haven't started yet.
No, I mean there haven't been that many
Not big enough.
photo shoots that could clash, that needs this sort of coordinating machine going on. But you ought to be thinking, when you're arriving, when you're going to get up there. So you've got 3 or 4 days before it starts to think about photo shoot opportunities right at the start. Okay, so I'd say with both your shows, you've got real photo opportunities.
Peter, can I ask in that case, do you like, if you're, as a photographer, if you're going to something and then there's something else that's nearby, are you more likely to go to it?
Yes.
All I'm just thinking is if you could find out where there's probably big photo shoots that all the press can go to.
It's a great idea.
If you were actually near it, a bit 15 minutes later or something.
Perfect.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You might be more likely to
And it's also because the nature of Edinburgh is literally so packed that getting up the Royal Mile can take an hour. Getting across town, just the sheer people in the crossing, the buses that try and run you over, can take an hour. So I guess if there's a photographer going, oh, that's just nearby, they're more likely to pop by to it, I reckon. So yeah, find out what else is happening. Okay, that was that one. Any others? You just throw them at me. They're all good.
Okay, what's this mean?
Oh yeah, okay. So we've got these here. Okay, this is very subjective. I think Facebook, certainly for shows here, is largely a white elephant for the Fringe.
White elephant.
Yeah, and I've got a whole kind of chapter which I call about Facebook non-commitment, where actually it says 73 people are coming to your show tomorrow, and when you actually mine that data, you discover that 63 of them live in Brighton, and they're just going, hey, like that. And so there's a lot of kind of affirmation on Facebook, awareness, but don't set up Facebook events and assume people are coming. I wouldn't waste too much time on Facebook. I think Twitter works more effectively, and I've written these two things because the @ sign and the hashtag are the key things. The @ sign is the address of the person that you can tweet at. If you tweet at Fringe Review, we retweet all the Brighton shows and other shows that we've reviewed before, and that's the reason we retweet, is because we're looking for continuity, so that people in Edinburgh can see work we've seen before. So we retweet Amsterdam stuff we've seen, or places we cover. So tweet at Fringe Review, we retweet. There's a guide on Fringe Review that goes live usually in the first week of all the Twitter handles I can find that are useful to you. There's a website called Edinburgh 49 that's worth looking at the moment, because they just seem to have a really good directory of all the tweet addresses in Edinburgh around the Fringe. But of course, if you have a look at just hashtag #EdFringe, you can see who's tweeting on that hashtag. And I'd start, coming up with the notion of 3 or 4 decent tweets a day about your show. Obviously, reviews that come in. The hashtag is #EdFringe. That's a good one. But you can also have hashtags for things like chortle and comedy and things that are relevant to you. The thing that I've started to find interesting, it seems to be more of a recent phenomenon, you might have some thoughts about this, is if I tweet, for example, on the hashtag parenting tips, which is linked to a book I do. Suddenly it says you've been added to a list called Parenting News or something, and suddenly you're being read by people that are following that list. So what are the key words around your show that you could also just try a punt at the hashtag of?
No, I mean, I do find that you do get added to lists for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things, I mean, I use Twitter a lot.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, actually, Twitter versus Facebook. One of the things strategies I've used a lot is to help other people, and that they will help you. That's
a good point.
I think actually if someone's really big, they're probably not going to notice. So in some ways, it's the kind of medium-sized, like someone who's got maybe 500,000 followers. They're going to, if you mention them in a tweet, they're going to probably look at it. And what I would tended to do with the Kaylee thing is I just followed everybody, more or less, that I thought might be of interest. And then I kind of, if someone tweeted something, I retweeted it for them, or actually I made some silly comment, that kind of thing. And then inevitably, when you have something to tweet, especially if you ask them, they will retweet it for you.
You get a sort of mutuality. Yeah, that definitely happens.
Pat my back, yours sort of thing.
Yeah. The tougher cookie really is that if you've got 100 followers, it's next to useless. So the other comment about just build followership, follow lots of people, 20% of them follow you back, then delete the ones that haven't followed you and just build and build, is that if you could have over 1,000 followers by August, as many as you can, and start tweeting now, and this is the thing about January again, that does have an effect. I would suggest that there's a lot of tweeting going on. The majority of people in Edinburgh are not sitting down at laptops, they're walking around checking phones, so there's plenty of that. You've got, I don't know if either of you two are using your Twitter feeds that, I think they kind of link to Ed Fringe as well. You can kind of put your handle there.
Ali does Twitter.
Okay.
She's very good at it. I mean, she watches,
Okay, but you've got someone doing it.
She should be there.
Yeah. What about you? What's your kind of Twitter strategy? That sounded
I
horrendous.
don't really
Twitter
have one.
strategy.
I mean, I'll kind of on a daily basis just remind people where they can get tickets from. But beyond that, I haven't really.
But say, how many followers have you got?
900.
Okay, it's quite a lot. And we've got 13,000 at the moment. So for the people here, whenever you tweet, just do the same tweet again at Fringe Review, and I'll retweet it to 12,000. Okay, so that just kind of might add to it. But I get in the mode of, oh, we'd like a review from Broadway Baby, or we want a review from the stage, and they haven't reviewed us. So we'll just throw out a hopeful tweet at them. You never know. Someone from them might be reading it at the time and might go, oh, that's perfect. I was meaning to see that, or I didn't know that one was there.
When you say at them, literally saying, will you come and review me, or something else that reminds them?
Yeah, I'd put something a bit more eloquent than, will you come and review me? But, we noticed you haven't reviewed us, or, this show getting great reviews. Where are you at Broadway Baby? Yeah, simple as that, really. Okay, there's
on Twitter. I think picture. I always use a picture, and I think I never send a tweet without a picture. That's just my personal opinion. Plus, make sure that the picture fits in the space that Twitter. Any text because it crops out. It doesn't matter if the picture's bigger, but whatever text that's on it, you want them to see it. Make sure it test it. Make sure it appears on the screen.
It's a personal view of mine too, that if you get a review that's got 5 stars and another one that gets 4 stars and another one gets 5 stars, but actually amongst those 3 reviews is an absolutely brilliant quote that is descriptive, celebratory, says exactly the nub of what's good about your show, far better to try and tweet that at somebody than the fact that everybody else is going 5 stars, 5 stars. That loses its currency really quickly. But a really good quote like that, I've never seen anything like this. This is the show that you'd be crazy to miss. That's a far better quote. So there's a bit of gleaning going on there. Anyone want to throw another star at me?
There you go.
Oh, who else is? This is a really interesting one. It's the experience I've had. Some of the theatre makers, some of whom you all know, George, that's been around Brighton a long time, go up and all they want is a review in the Scotsman, to the exclusion of really putting much effort into getting reviews from anyone else. and actually either the Scotsman doesn't come along or does, and it doesn't make a huge difference, or it makes some difference if they get a good review, or it does get a good review but it's not till the third week, or however it goes. There's a shed load of people up there, not just reviewing but writing and doing interviews, and people like Peter doing photographs. So it is just worth, as you get out and about, trying to find out who else is out there. A blogger that might be a food blogger that's going to come and review your show, or someone that's particularly into your particular genre and wants to write about it, or the issues behind it, or any of that. And just keep an eye out for who's tweeting. We have a list on Fringe Review of everyone that we can find that at least reviews or interviews at the Fringe. But think about who else is there too. If you haven't thought about it, there are lots of people that seem to get on things like Fourth Radio. There's local radio stations that are internet radio stations that are there. All kinds of stuff going on. And so just think about who else really. Another one?
Everyone expecting your space.
Okay, I've kind of hinted at this, but I think the secret of a successful Fringe show is that you are not finding your space and doing the show that you did in Brighton 4 days in. It's that you try and claim that space as quickly as possible. You go, oh, okay, there's more nosebleed here. I need to change this. Oh, okay, then. Actually, when I sit in the back row, no one can really see, so I better think about that. And if you just claim your space very, very quickly and the reviewer comes in on the second day, you've got a better chance of some good quotes. So claiming your space, I've heard from various people, is don't get just locked in all the techie stuff about your get-in, but actually take the first 5 minutes almost with your eyes closed and smell the place. Just kind of literally spin around, walk to every corner, feel the venue quite a lot. Imagine what might go wrong, ask the techies what's good and bad about the venue, talk to other people performing there, but absolutely get home in your space. That's almost as important as a show, I'd say. And you may or may not be aware of what you did, George, at the Warren, that space, but did you? What did you have to do that you wouldn't have to do, I don't know, upstairs at the 3 and 10 as it used to be? Did you have to change your show or your delivery at least?
I mean, it was just nicer because I just had so much more room. Whereas 3 and 10 was really, which I mean, in a way, I think kind of added to the chaos of it because it was so confined and so having to be careful not to knock stuff into the front row and that sort of thing.
Right.
At the 3 and 10. It wasn't too bad on the night because I did a Sunday night and I did the comedy club the Saturday night and they had a band and a bar tent. And I was thinking, it's like this tomorrow. It's going to be impossible because it's just me talking. So, but fortunately there wasn't a band on the Sunday, so it wasn't so bad. But it was still traffic on it.
Yeah. Where are you playing? What venue? Sweet, but which? So do you know where? So like Sweet for me is just be aware. They're kind of hotel conference roomy venues. The sound can be a lot more muffled. So I'd say play the acoustics a bit quite early. Get into the acoustics of it.
You're not the happiest people, are you?
No, they're going to meet. They're going to meet there.
Yeah,
the
so
happiest.
you're not there.
No, we're the Institute for Fringe Misery.
Institute for what?
Fringe Misery, it's called.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but we'll be over later.
Sorry, I don't bother.
It's all right, no problem. Okay. Perfect timing. The other bits about claiming the space that I've just picked up from people is from anything from schmoozing to just communicating is just connect with your techie really well and really quickly. And don't be kind of getting to know and ice breaking with your techie for the 5 days. Just find out, get them names, see if you can meet them before your tech, even if it's just to say hello. They might even already have a Facebook page. If you could find out who your tech is, if there's any way they'll tell you, whatever you need to do to get a good relationship with your tech. Your ushers, very similar. Just don't assume they're going to love your show. Try and get them to see it as early as possible so they can talk about it and rave about it.
I've had a stroke of luck in that the guy who's in charge of the tech at the Warren is also in charge of the tech on that floor of the Gilded Balloon. So.
Right, okay, so there's a really good example. So you might imagine that's brilliant, but when he gets up there or she goes into meltdown, and actually you realise that it's like they've never met you and they don't even recognise you. So it's just don't even assume that that's there. Just be on the ball, just be aware of it, but particularly the venue. Similar again with lights. Just get all your lights up and go, no, we won't use that one because it's an LED that's doing a really annoying flicker, so we'll have that one off. I think it's this thing about needing to raise the bar and just be really aware of it. That's claiming a space. Anyone else? Are we running out? Did you? Oh, go on. Okay, this is really, this one is really important. Every event I've been, there's the uniqueness myth there. Every event I've been to about how on earth do you sell tickets in Edinburgh for a month when there's 3,000 shows? And what people say is, so what's unique about your show? And see if you can get it down to a sentence. So have you got your sentence? You're on the roll, Mal. Do you know what that's going to be? Come and see a show.
I cook in hotel rooms using the equipment for that.
Okay, brilliant, which is great. And there's probably not another show in the Fringe. And so there's a bunch of people going, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a bit different. I'll come to that. What's your one? Oh yeah, roughly. I mean, yeah. What are the few sort of things about your show you'd say are different?
Lesbian love in the limelight. It's on Strapline.
Yeah.
May or may not use that all the time. It's, historical. No, sorry.
No, you've got it. No, so
I know what it is. I just don't say it off.
well, but isn't it also? I mean, your one. It's something about. A lot of people didn't know that this act was happening. So there's a kind of historical thing that goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good. So anyway, that's unique. So everyone would say, get your patter right, put it out on Twitter and all of that. But actually, just think about it. There's 3,000 shows, loads of people wandering around looking for stuff to see, and they hear about that, or they hear your patter and go, oh, I don't want to see that. So they're not going to come. So my thing about the uniqueness myth is that you've also got to have a generic line, like come and see a fucking good comedy show. Do you want to see a comedy show? Like that. I mean, it might not be that generic, but what might be something more general that doesn't make people not want to come because of what you've said? So what is that for you? Is it, do you want to come and see a different show, comedy with a difference, or
Visual comedy show?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that.
Musical romance.
So you've got to be ready with that, so that the first thing doesn't make it, well, I don't want to see that. So the uniqueness myth is don't only do the tagline, because what happens is it'll probably turn off as many people as it attracts, and you'll end up with not many audience. But there are loads and loads of people wandering around going, we've got half an hour to spare. We just want to see some good comedy. So I think you've got visual, physical. It can be award-winning. It can be sellout in Brighton. Anyway, that's those sort of keywords alongside. Don't just only follow the myth, because everyone tells you is what's different about your show. Well, what's different about your show is exactly what might put people off just because of the words. But actually, if I come and see George Anarchist Cook, it is that uniqueness. But actually, if I'm just looking for comedy, I can get it. Yeah, so it's kind of what that is, really.
So quality first.
Yeah, and so if I go to your website now, and if I go to any kind of publicity you've got, is there anything that's actually so unique about it it might put me off? Could you address that with some more general stuff on your website as well?
Last one.
Oh, okay. I just want to share this because it was told to me. Yeah, the plan or no plan. I hate plans. It's not in my temperament to have plans, blah, 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 blah. But actually, lots and lots of people at the end, that when I said, well, how's it gone? We sold loads of tickets. It's gone really well. We've got 18 reviewers in, blah, blah. The difference between them and the others is that they weren't just reactive. They had a plan. And they wrote that plan now, and it's quite boring, and it doesn't need to take very long. But it is, for example, if you're going to tweet and you use Hootsuite or one of those, you can at least schedule some of your tweets now just to go out at the times you want. But if not, so one's called Hootsuite, Hoote Suite. So we tweet about, 10, 12 tweets a day. Half of those have already been loaded up into the system. Yeah, and the general ones like, come and read our reviews here. Now, what we can't load up is, review just arrived in, that comes later. Part of the plan is, if you're going to do photo shoots and stuff like that, you need to put them in your diary, and then you need to go back. Hang on a sec, I was going to flyer at 6 till 8 every day, 2 hours before my show. So make sure that's in your diary. And if you're not doing it, so it's about having a bit of a calendar, and then you can build in lots of time for fun or relaxation if that's what you want to. But actually, when you're up there, going into just riding by the seat of your pants mode is really fun. But as professionals, it's really inefficient in that place because it's so noisy. The cacophony of it makes it really hard then to do well. And what you just end up with is a bit of mediocrity. You don't sell quite as many tickets as you thought because your day wasn't very effective. So I'm the last person in the world to recommend it, but lots of other people have said they realised after a month they should have got their act together. That's the expression. So what that might mean for you is schedule your day now. Roughly what's your day going to be? What time are you going to get up? When's a good time to fly? When's a good time to do press interviews? Whatever it's going to be, but just kind of have it ready. If you're going to get more flyers done now, build it into your schedule. Have a bit of a budget if money's tight. But I'm not a planner. Are you a planner?
No, not really.
No, I think that will harm you in Edinburgh. But not having a plan, just kind of winging it. You can still have if you're up for a great time, it's good. But if actually there is some wish to walk away not with your shirt lost and all of that, you probably need to get a bit more planning about it. That's what the advice is from lots of people. It's also, I'd suggest having a plan's a bit less stressful up there because it's quite stressful. And if you go, I've only got 4 in tomorrow, it's kind of, we go into this firefighting mode, whereas the plan, you've been thinking about that 3 or 4 days before. The obvious things are, in Edinburgh, even though it's busier, quiet days are Mondays and Tuesdays or Wednesdays. You've got shows on those days, so what's your plan for that? You're going to put some more time in flying on a Sunday, or?
And generally with flying, I suppose there's some different opinions, but a lot of people have said flying just coming up to showtime is the best. As my show's relatively early, so 2:45 in the afternoon, I wonder if that's such a good idea, or to do something. And is it a good idea to fly later to try and get people to come the next day, or is it better to be immediate? Will people think?
What time's your show on? What time? So yours is an afternoon show.
Yeah.
Yours is. Yours is an after lunch show, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's absolutely, you probably want to fly people as they go into lunch. And then say straight after lunch we can go and see a funny show about food.
Yeah.
Yours is on at 3:15. So that's an interesting time, I guess. What is that time? Now I'm thinking more about the show. Are people going to go, oh yeah, we'll wander and take a punt on that, or are they going to want to see it in advance? They're going to want to know they're going to your show.
I think we thought that perhaps there would be people that wouldn't be out too late.
It could be that it's worth flying early in the morning as well.
Yeah.
Not just those other times, but catch people at breakfast.
Yeah.
The imagination I had is, for example, there's a place I go and hide in. It's the National Gallery of Scotland, and outside is an outdoor cafe. So that's where you can get toast or bacon roll in the morning, or porridge or whatever. And there's quite a few people sitting there that don't want to be out too late in the evening, and they'll be happy if you say, do you want to come see a bit of a different show? So that's probably worth. So quirky times. I'm thinking food times for you. It's just worth experimenting really around it. But I think breakfast as well might be a good time to fly for you. Got any more? We're nearly out.
Is that Target down there?
Yes.
Oh bugger! What was that about? No. That's the obvious one.
Being focused. Whatever that means exactly.
You can't shit spray. You can't just spray generally in Edinburgh because everyone's doing it. So that was probably the other way that you build audience. Now, the obvious things for you might be LBGT, and the obvious thing for you might be, I don't know, what would it be for you?
The culinary market, I suppose.
I think you've got to flyer in all the hotels.
Yeah, I think hotels are good.
And what's interesting is like the space at Jury's Inn, they won't mind, is a hotel. So it's already fringe ready because it's got stuff going on. You can make friends with any of the shows there, and they'll say, oh yeah, we'll put some flyers out for you. Fly my queue, I'll fly yours. You've got, who else is there? The Suite is a hotel. I can't remember what one is it, Apex City or... So there's another hotel. It's a bit travel. No, I don't. It's not a bit Travelodgy. Sorry about that. It's not. It's a bit travelish.
Good location.
Yeah. There's probably might not do any harm to tweet at some hotel chains.
Yeah.
In Edinburgh.
I think I might quite like it in a sort of in a strange way. They don't necessarily want to encourage it, kind of, but.
It must be
It's
something
quite
that they
funny as
accept
well.
goes on
Yeah.
to an extent.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
things that
But there are travel lodges and Premier Inns, and these poor buggers are paying £1,000 a night to stay in a travel lodge in Edinburgh. But yeah, so that's about targeting. And I think I'd suggested before, there are kind of delicatessen sort of places that have got fringe going on. So you could almost just go here, through the back bit. I don't know if you've done this, but just go, I'm going to find every venue, because there's the venue guide, that looks like it does food or is a hotel.
Yeah.
And the obvious thing for your one is to find any entertainment venues that focus on or do LBGT, go and see a few of them. There might be one at 2 in the morning, get some flyers out on tables. Somebody goes, because you've got conversations you can have about yours. That was really interesting. I didn't know about that. So do you know what those venues are in Edinburgh?
No, but I'll look in the book.
Yeah, I mean, there must be a bunch of them, I'd have thought. But even if they're not in the book, non-fringe venues that might have it. So you want to Google LBGT and find out what some of the venues are. LBGT in Edinburgh.
I asked AD as well, because he was getting quite something about LGBT.
Yeah. And is your show set in a music hall?
Sort of.
I mean-
It's got different scenes.
Yeah, but it's about music hall, isn't it?
It's about musical performance.
So were there any music halls in Edinburgh that used to be that you could? There might be a historical society or.
There is, well, there's at least, well, there's that, is that big one still there?
Yeah, there's that. But I bet there's a few. Like Brighton probably had 3 or 4. So I'd find out who they are again and tweet at them or write to them and offer them a free ticket before you let them go. We're bringing 12 people.
Yeah.
Well, are there any stats on where the visitors come from? You know, are they, like whether they are visitors, or whether they're generally more visitors or they're actually, you know, residents of Edinburgh and the surrounding area?
Well, it's slightly cheekily put, but just about everybody in Edinburgh moves out and rents their flat out. But that's not true. There's a big comedy audience in Edinburgh. And the reason I think, like I mentioned, if you can link up with Nick Bryce from Brightsides, is there's just a queue of Edinburgh people around the corner for his morning fringe stuff and their short plays. So that they come out. They seem to like to go to the new town. You know, so there is a local audience. There's a coincidental audience, which is they're there on lots of tourists that might go and see 1 or 2 shows as well. And there's quite a few people drawn into Edinburgh for the history. So if you've got the history, it's yours. So this is the targeting. It's not about being predatory. It's about being smart and wise and respectful and going, I'm going to try and find the people. And you only say it here because there's 3,000 shows, so you can't just stay at the level of generality. And if you can suddenly find your audience, then that's just brilliant. They'll all come. So just space for any kind of final things you wanted to ask or worries or anything. I'm out of stars. Anything most bothering you? Anything you wanted to know about?
I think having the time is probably a good idea. That's we're focusing on right now. Do Brighton, have a breather. Do a few other shows.
Yeah.
I think something worth reiterating that you raised that I really agree with because I use this a lot when I was doing the current was that not putting people off. You know, going back to that unique selling point thing, like just as a quick example, the original, which I couldn't change because I wasn't involved right at the beginning, but our flyer it was a Kaylee essentially, but it said you would dance, you would sing, you would whatever, and straight away, sorry, it said you would sing, you would dance, you would whatever. Straight away I was like, well, some people don't like singing. Why are we telling people they're going to be singing? You know, they can sing if they want, but you know what I mean? Anything like that, it's like, are you actually making them uncomfortable already rather than that they're just going to have a good time? Because often the subject matter isn't actually, it's important, but actually, you know, in your show, I haven't seen it, but you know, you're a very good performer actually, to be honest, and you're funny. And to me that, yeah, yes, it's a unique idea and that's great, but actually it's the fact if someone else could do it, you know, so it's the fact that it's just, I'm just going to have, as Paul was saying, I'm just going to have fun, you know, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it's about in a way. It's just really
I think that's when we talk about our show, that's what you know, we're having fun, you're going to have fun, but then, you know, what's not to like?
Yeah.
Great.
So in summary, targets.
Totally.
Have a plan. Don't just put unique stuff about you. Put some stuff that just appeals to a general audience, so you can sweeten them up as well. Claim your space as early as possible. Make good relationships with all the people that are going to kill or cure your show. Think about the bloggers, the other websites, find out who they are. Don't just get fixated on the Scotsman. We're saying we think Twitter time better than Facebook, and specifically tweeting at people. Can't even remember what the Law of Three was about. Oh yeah, 3 different ways to communicate if you can. End up with no flyers at the end of the first week. And if you've got too many, give them away. But if you haven't got enough, you've got nothing to give away. Star reality, the bar is 1 level higher, sometimes 2 in Edinburgh. That's just to be real. And you should have tweeted in January, but at least start again from now. Just refresh the whole thing. I want to thank everyone who listened in or watched as well, and this hopefully will record if you want to watch it later. So from Brighton, goodbye.